Hello, welcome to episode 6 of That Magic Podcast, season 4.
Just checking.
I am just checking because
season 4.
It's only my third one, so yeah, but season 4.
Yep.
All right, cool. So today we're going to talk about magic and whether you can learn it,
Right.
or whether you need to be you need to have the gift, whether you need to already have it in your DNA, in your blood. It comes from another member of your family, like Ned's grandmother in Spider-Man. She's always said I was a bit magic, and he was a bit magic.
He was a bit magic.
Do portals and things like that because
Okay.
it's in his family. That sort. Do you need to come from a magical family, or can you just be magic?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to get into today.
Great. That's not quick.
Yeah.
There's-
5 minutes tops.
okay. 5-minute podcast, everybody.
Yeah. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. That's short. Cool.
All right, let's do this.
See you after the song with no lyrics. Is it still a song if it's got no lyrics, or is it just the tune? See you after the tune. The music.
Classical.
Do, do, do. That one. You know the one. To pick up on something you said in the last episode when we were talking about tarot in the boardroom and everything.
The one with Magick in the workplace.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. The one where you tried to convince me that Angel was a good show.
I don't remember doing that exactly.
No, because you didn't. You talked about, and I think it was when you were talking about meditation and things and learning to visualize.
Right.
You talked about people being able to learn this skill.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what I wanted to ask you this time was, how far do you think magic, spirituality, everything that we've covered in various episodes of the podcast,
mm-hmm.
how far can that be taught?
Right.
Versus, is it something that people just, it's there and you just kind of pull it out of them? Part of the reason I ask is because you said people learning to visualize.
Mm-hmm.
I can't visualize very easly. I mean, I can, but in the wrong circumstances. So I'm very good at visualizing when I'm having arguments. No.
What they are.
When I'm having arguments with people in my head.
Right, yes.
About stuff.
Sure.
Very good at visualizing then.
Okay.
But meditation, close your eyes, calm, picture yourself in, I can't. It just doesn't come. I don't know why it doesn't. So that's one reason I wanted to ask. But also because pop culture suggests more times than not that spirituality, magical prowess is something that exists within a person and gets drawn out rather than something that they can be taught, and that, like card tricks, for example,
right,
hours of practice makes you better at it. You don't kind of get that from pop culture. It's always someone who's, your great grandmother was magic and she was this, and therefore it's in your blood, that sort of thing.
Right,
It's there within them. So, can anyone learn this sort of stuff, or do you have to be predisposed to it?
I don't think we've got long enough. You think that this is going to be a short one, and I don't.
I mean, it's a yes or no question.
I think. Do you mind if I just move my chair?
No, I don't mind if you move your chair. Just please don't break my leg when you do it.
That's better.
All right.
Ask me that again.
No, I can't remember what I said.
Okay.
You're just going to have to go into. I don't know.
Right. So I don't think we've got long enough to cover that on this podcast.
Right. Okay. So that's a bigger question.
It is a huge question.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the slightly smaller answer is, of course, you can be taught how to do something. I think the big question is, how do you become spiritual, or do you just decide, right, I'm going to be spiritual now, from now, starting from now, I'm spiritual. So I think,
yeah,
can you just decide? I think that's the fundamental question, isn't it? And as humans...
All right. So, no, go on, finish your thought. As humans, or have I interrupted at an opportune moment because...
just as humans, No, as humans, I think, certainly, we talked before about the one about humanistic magic, where humanistic psychologists like Maslow and Carl Rogers had the sort of idea that all humans are striving to fulfill their full potential, and as part of that is some kind of spiritual enlightenment, or however you want to describe it. It's some kind of epiphany about your place in the world.
All right, so maybe predisposed was the wrong word, because I presume you have to be predisposed in the sense that, like anything, you have to be willing to and want to do something and make it happen. You can't just say, I'm Magick now, for example. So whereas I think when I was describing the pop culture kind of examples, it's very much you've got it in you. It's like it's hereditary, or you've got the gift.
Right, okay.
That sort of thing. So predisposed is possibly the wrong word given your context, because you have to want to do something, and you talk about epiphany and things, and people finding religion, for example, finding spirituality. It's something that they don't just decide, it kind of comes to them.
Yeah.
I suppose where I was coming from, it was more around the practical elements of it. You know, you talked last time about teaching someone to visualize. You put on the website, there are things about teaching, you know, here are some spells, here are some things to do, you know, spell in a minute, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You're teaching people, you teach people about astrology, about tarot, about Lenormand, all of these sorts of things. So it kind of suggests that you can learn. You don't have to have been found on the street by some dark wizard who feels the pull of magic within you and takes you off to teach you somewhere, that sort of thing, you know.
From the franchise we never talk about.
That's not what happens in this franchise we never talk about.
Okay, because we don't talk about it.
That's a hereditary thing. I was thinking more of, actually, and that was very generic. But
were you talking about Star Wars?
No,
because he's a wizard that pulls a boy off the street, tells him, "This is within you," or whatever is my. Oh, I'm upset a load of people now.
I mean, the boy goes looking for him to start with. That's one thing.
Actually, it was a robot that goes looking for him. Anyway,
very true.
We're getting
true.
into the. It's not that kind of podcast.
But
I promise.
It really is. But no, I mean, yes, it was very generic, and I think it applies to a lot of different pop culture scenarios. But there are lots of ones. There's a series of books, for example, Rivers of London series, which is about being a police officer in the inner London area, along the Thames and stuff like that, and magic and supernatural type things happening in there. And the guy is picked up, if you like, by an older
What is this
practitioner,
series of books?
Rivers of London.
Rivers of London.
And because the individual, the police officer, sees a ghost, which the older guy sees this as being, evidence that he has the gift or he has magical capabilities, sort of thing. So it's in him, and he goes and he learns, but he learns because he has it within him already. I think there's another character that comes in that was never really discussed as to whether they have it within them or not, but then they can do the stuff, they learn things.
Yeah.
Anyway, but again, it's an example of it's already there.
Yeah.
I've just got to coax it out of you and let it flower. Whereas...
like you belong on a register, but okay. Jesus.
I've got a certificate that says I don't. But from what you've said and pretty much everything that you put out on the internet and the website and stuff like that, and the course that is in existence, suggests that actually you can just learn it. You don't need to be a bit woo already. You can teach yourself to be woo.
You can, yeah. So when you put it like that, okay, I think what I'm hearing is the separation of spirituality from the subsection that is magic.
Yeah.
Because you can be spiritual and religious, for argument's sake.
Yes.
So the spirituality bit, I honestly don't know anybody who has just awoken one morning and said, I'm going to be spiritual. They usually something shit happens. You have to have that. There has to be more to life than this.
For something.
I think, or you can just have it around you. I don't mean it's spirituality is hereditary. I just mean you are made to go to Sunday school or whatever. Insert religion of choice. But if you grow up in a culture that is spiritual / religious, then you either want to believe that or you don't. I don't know that spirituality is something that is in you. I honestly don't know that. You can be taught what flavour of spirituality. Do you want to be taught a world religion? Do you want to be taught something that's more esoteric, for example? And the mechanism for which you realise your spirituality in the world, you can be taught that, I believe. But it's do you want to be spiritual, I think is a lot harder. I don't think you can teach someone that. I think it has to be a private epiphany that happens. And there are so many people that I've come across in my life that I just think to myself, do you know what? You would be so much less cynical and you would be so much happier if you believed something. And it doesn't have to be believe in a deity. It doesn't have to be believe the universe has got your back and magic can happen. It can be like that guy that wrote a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Shit or whatever it is. He believed that none of that was real, I think, is my understanding. So he certainly believed in something, that's for sure, that nothing mattered and it's all ultimately pointless. That's a belief, but that can be his, I don't know, air quotes, church, the church of not giving a shit. That's something. But I meet so many people doing what I do at work that I just think you just have to believe in something. Even if you're dogmatic about your atheism, just have something, whatever it is. But I don't know, you can't shove people up the Maslow pyramid, can you? They have to.
This is done now. You fulfilled those needs. Move on.
Exactly. Then they have to achieve the growth, the personal growth on their own, I think. But I do get what you mean about pop culture. So a couple of like really weird niche shows that I've seen, Like there is this Canadian one called The Listener, which I think is, I don't know, I can't remember how many years old it is now. But basically it's about this guy that inherits a gift for being able to hear dead good. But it's not a superhero movie. He drives an ambulance.
Right.
So he's not a classic superhero, although, you know, you got your blue light, so you are a hero, whatever.
Not all heroes wear capes.
Exactly. So he brings it into like a crime fighting universe, and he consults with the, I don't know, Mounties, I guess, the Canadian police people. I don't know. Can you tell I know nothing about the way the rest of the world works?
When did you watch this show?
Where?
When?
Oh, years ago. I don't know. It was on the streaming, so not 1,000 years ago, like, you know, we talked last time, before the internet. It was in the world of the internet. And then there was this other show that I watched called Grimm, which is kind of a rich man's Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, fairy tale type stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I think from what I haven't seen Once Upon a Time, but from what I understand of Once Upon a Time, Grimm does it better.
Okay.
Did Once Upon a Time, but better.
All right, fair enough.
And that's about a guy.
Does Grimm have Elsa in it?
I don't know. I don't think so. No,
you can't say that it did it better.
there are definitely witches. There are witches. It's a lot more German feeling, and I mean that in like the fact that the Grimm fairy tales, I think, were mostly
slightly more traditional.
Yeah. So it's a bit darker. But I can't remember where I was going to go with that thought now. It's disappeared and I didn't write it down. So, oh well, we will never know. But basically, Grimm was about this. I think he was a policeman. Maybe I need to watch it again. But basically, he had inherited this ability to see what is termed Wesen, which is why I say it's a bit German. Wesen, which are like the supernatural creatures that exist in fairy tales, like a big bad wolf. For argument's
you can
sake.
see their true forms.
Yeah. But and he has to be able to see the true form. No one else can see him, but he knows when somebody is a Wesen and when they're not, and that sort of thing. And it's the same with the witches. He can see a witch, and they're always like really haggard, obviously. And evil, obviously. Obviously.
So evil. so that actually it's like Rivers of London. This guy's the ability, the gift that he has, part of it is he sees or feels vestigia, which is the remnants, the after effects of supernatural activity or presence or whatever, that sort of thing. So he gets sensations when it's
right.
So and it's retained within different materials to a different degree of strength and stuff like that.
So like when Star Trek can find a spaceship by following the warp trail.
Yeah. Oddly, yes.
Is this
sort of
Rivers
thing.
of London? Is this on the telly?
No, it's a series of books. Books.
No, get it on the telly.
You do read.
I do not read. I read grimoires.
I know you do.
So, anyway, this is not a pop culture podcast. I promise. It's a Magick podcast.
All right. So yes, but what we're saying is that the practical elements, like with everything, you can learn that.
Yeah, totally.
You can get to understand how things work and know what different things mean and how to do them, and all of those techniques that we've talked about, or you've talked about, visualization, positive mental attitude, seeing the outcomes. You can learn how to.
I think visualization is a good one to unpack because some people inherently cannot. They do struggle, but there are substitutes. For example, instead of a visualization in your head, you can create a vision board, which is something physical or digital,
you can
whatever.
just write things. You don't even have to be drawing stuff.
No.
A vision board suggests that you're drawing pictures and stuff, like a storyboard for a film or whatever.
It's just it's a board for looking at.
Yeah.
With your things on it.
Use your vision on that board.
Use your vision on that board. So it could have drawings on it, absolutely, or you can cut things out and stick other people's drawings on it, or you can just write stuff, absolutely. which is kind of like a workaround if you struggle to visualize. But I think it's interesting the way you talked about winning arguments in your head. Do you see the people, or do you just hear their narrative? So it's not a visual thing. No.
Hear the narrative, and then.
So you're hearing them respond to you, and
for the most part, Okay. Sometimes I'll see them, but it's more just a them rather than them talking and having that sort of thing.
So exactly. So you may well struggle to learn how to visualize, but you can learn how to create a vision board. You just you get a bit of paper and you write on it. So that's dead easy. Exactly, that is dead easy. And I assume when you're at work, you've got like a project plan or some objectives or some kind of Trello board or some sort of mechanism.
Let's say
some kind of mechanism for noting down the things and stuff that you have to do.
Yeah.
And it's that. What do you imagine the output will be? What does good look like for this thing that you want to create? And you can do that. Some people can close their eyes and visualize what that looks like. Other people can write it down and kind of mind map, if you know what that is, with all the words that swirl around, and arrows that point everywhere. I don't mind map. I'm just making it up. So if I'm getting that wrong, please do let me know.
Sounded fairly straightforward.
All right. So you can learn that. I think with the magic, I think if magic is how you want to show up with your spirituality in the world, I don't think anybody should be held back by thoughts of, oh, I don't come from a long line of witches or whatever. I don't believe that is the way it shows up in pop culture, that you have to have come from a long line of, I don't know, magical people.
Yeah, or have the gift.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Whatever that is.
Yeah. So I think, didn't we talk before about having psychic powers? I can't remember the name.
Well, we talked about the different Claires and stuff, didn't we?
Yeah. That I can't remember for the life of me what that one is called.
I think that was way back in season 2.
Might have been.
I made my amazing joke about if you got all your Claires online, would they be E-Claires? Worth repeating.
It's really not. But anyway, so the one about magic powers, if it is called that. So
sorry, your face is so dismissive of that joke.
Oh.
Just makes it funnier.
Anywho, so I'm glad you're enjoying yourself.
I bet you wish this was a one-person show again, don't you?
I'm glad you're enjoying yourself.
Things you've learned, don't invite him on again.
No, because we've still got 2 more to do, so you have to come back.
All right.
I'm losing my thread because I've put my pencil down, and that's my crutch.
That's something else you've learned.
Getting through the episode.
Down.
Pick it back up. Right. What was I saying? Yeah. So magic powers. Oh yeah, learning the gift. So we've talked about Grimm, the Listener, Rivers of London. These are all magic people that have.
They are already magic.
Already magic. But in that podcast, I can't remember the name of, so that's really unhelpful.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, we will dig it out. So the one where we talk about magic powers or being psychic, whatever it is. In there we talk about how you can learn to develop these abilities, shall we say. So we talked about the 4 Claires: claircognizance, clairsentience, clairaudience, and clairvoyance. How that we're all inherently
Claire.
we are all Claire.
We are Claire.
We are Claire. Yeah, we are all Claire somehow. You just have to tap into which one is it. And I think in that episode we talked about you being clairsentient, all about the feelings, because
Empathetic.
you like feeling.
It's called empathy.
Empathy, exactly.
Yes.
So everybody, all humans, I believe anyway, have got leanings towards one or more of these particular abilities that you can develop with practice, which is, how magic as an act of spirituality can show up for some people if you're like that, if that speaks to you.
Yeah, and well, presumably, if you practice and you tap into it a little bit more, then there's the better chance that spiritual side of you is opened up, and you get the spirituality with it rather than just saying, I'm spiritual now. It's you understand it and it comes to you that way.
Possibly.
Like you said, sometimes you need something to have happened in your life, or you need a prompt to go looking for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I've spoken to all 7 billion people on this planet.
I thought this was an informed podcast.
I know. What was I going to say? So I haven't spoken to everybody, but certainly of the people that I have spoken to, the ones that have a spiritual leaning, whether it's magic or religion or whatever, it's because they have, I don't know, it's awakened. Or they didn't just wake up and consciously decide, right, it's Monday, what is on my to-do list? Oh, right, number 1, make a cup of tea. Number 2,
find God.
Be spiritual. Number 3, peg the washing out. It doesn't show up like that in my experience and the people that I have spoken to about this sort of stuff. It's usually, I've had a shit life, or things haven't gone right, or I was made homeless, or my parents abandoned me, or I feel neglected, or I didn't, you know what I mean? It's just a lot of, for want of a better phrase, tragic things.
People need it.
Have drawn people together. Maybe I just attract them. I don't go to Tragics Anonymous, I promise, although I'm definitely founding that group. Tragics Anonymous.
You might need a different acronym.
TA.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That means something else in this country, doesn't it?
The Territorial Army.
It does, yes.
Not tits and us.
I did see
That's
that.
what you were thinking, though. Yes.
Anyway, so a series of unfortunate events have unfolded, and so to help people get through has been my experience. It's been the constant message of, to help me, I decided I needed more meditation in my life, or I went to church,
decided,
or whatever.
Yeah. I needed something.
And
I found this.
Yeah.
It filled in. For some people, let's be honest, it's booze or drugs, or something like that.
Yeah.
Other people, they find God.
Exactly.
Spirituality. Magic.
So
this podcast.
So I'm so sorry for the people that we're trying to help people.
Yeah.
And I do group myself into the Tragics Anonymous founder situation, having had such a miserable existence up until I started this podcast. But anyway.
This episode. Specifically this episode.
Yeah, exactly. This episode specifically. So certainly there are several paths that humans can go down. The medication path is absolutely one of them. I speak from experience, it's not a pleasant path to go down, but it gives you what you need. And I don't come at this from a place of judgment at all. Spirituality can provide people with another support mechanism, and people can find it in community, which is, why people go running to cults. And I promise we're not a cult. We're not, are we? No?
Not yet.
We're not in the big bumper book of cults.
We're not big enough to be a cult.
No,
yet.
we're not. But people do find all of this, and the appeal of spirituality, or this can help you, this will take your problems away, or whatever it is. People who come at life needing that, then it's what's driven a lot of the people that I talk to towards magic, meditation, counselling, or whatever it is.
And then the practices associated with that spirituality, you can learn them.
Yeah, whether you want to learn magic, or maybe you don't want to learn magic. Maybe you're quite happy learning mindfulness. Or maybe it's neither of those things. Perhaps it's a religion. You want to practice, I don't know, whatever you want.
Even things like exercise, people sometimes find it
the church of yoga.
Running about.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever it is. Yeah. So I think oftentimes the decision to awaken that next bit of your personal development up the Maslow hierarchy, I think you come at it from a place of, I'm not fulfilled. Either the drugs don't work anymore, or the exercise isn't working for me, or the friendship groups I'm in aren't working for me. Whatever it is, that support falls apart, falls away. You grow out of it, whatever it is, and then it's the so what? What else? What else is there? And so finding spirituality, I think, is more accurate rather than I am going to be spiritual. And then
I've decided.
Then the choice, I guess, comes from the how do you want spirituality to show up for you? Is it through a practicing religion? Is it an organised religion? Do you want to go to a building on a certain day of the week and that's enough for you? Or do you want to do something, I don't know, esoteric? Do you want to do magic? Do you want to practice magic? That's how it shows up for me anyway. So the way I exercise my spirituality is through magic, casting spells, guided meditations, all of the stuff that we teach in the Magic School or Magic Discovered, all of that. That's how it shows up for me, and hopefully shows up for some of our listeners as well.
Can you be magic without being spiritual?
What, like I guess, I would say you could be. It's a bit more logical, maybe, and it's not from a place of, I don't know, trying to connect with something bigger than yourself, I guess. I think trying to define what spirituality is also very difficult, isn't it?
I'm just thinking, like, some people might want to use spell casting, for example, or tarot to just help them in their everyday life. It's not coming from a spiritual place. It's not from filling an emotional void sort of thing. It's just, these are some tools that I know of, and I can do this stuff, and I want to use it to kind of help me. So I'll cast a spell to help me in my work life, or whatever. Or I use tarot to kind of help me with what's going to come up this week, today, whatever, kind of prepare me a bit more, that sort of thing. It's not from a spiritual sort of thing.
Okay, that's interesting. How does that...
Practical magic, not the film. Practical magic.
Practical magic. I think that's maybe harder for me to recognise, because I think...
Is that because you are spiritual with it? So
maybe,
that kind of colder element of it, for want of a better word, is odd. Yeah,
I think maybe the intellectual application without having a bedrock of a set of beliefs and values, I think is harder for me to understand how that looks and feels.
Interesting.
Not saying it's not possible, but I think, is it genuine? Is there something playing out there, like a sense of, this is what I have to do in order to, like when in The Simpsons Homer doesn't want to go to church on Sunday because he realises he's just been going every Sunday.
Because it's a habit.
Yeah, because it's a habit. So there's nothing spiritual there. It's just he goes and shows up at this building every week
because it's expected.
Expected. So I guess from that perspective, is that person practicing magic or tarot and has lost or maybe never had that belief/value connection back through to spirituality? I don't know. Maybe they don't see it as being relevant. Maybe they don't see it as being part of a spiritual journey.
I mean, that's why I asked if it's something that could be done. Maybe that's something for listeners to consider. If you want to get in touch, are you a practical magic person, less bothered about the spirituality or anything behind it, and more about the actual functional practice of the magic spell casting and things like that? Get in touch. Tell us, is that something you're into and how it works for you?
Yeah, what does that look like?
Teach us.
I think I struggle with it because of what we do at Magenta School of Magic, very much humanistic magic. So it is absolutely always overlaid with like the humanistic counselling concepts of trying to improve. Always improving, always striving, trying to get through to achieve, I don't know, like your highest potential, personal growth, enlightenment, whatever it is that is at the apex of your journey. I think that's always what we're trying to do here at Magenta, and all the tools that we produce, all the spells and all the guided meditations are in some way servicing at some level on the pyramid where people are. Maybe it's at the base level with grounding, trying to learn how to ground and, I don't know, practice gratitude or whatever, versus trying to find some kind of self-acceptance to help your esteem, or further up, how are you trying to increase your knowledge or intuition, like we talked before about the major clairs. How do you use magic to improve these things? But it's always with a personal development angle, isn't it, for us? So but for somebody to, I don't know, like to want to cast a spell in order for a thing to happen, but not take the time to visualize what they want or why they want it and work through any of the
you could do that without having the spirituality aspect of it, surely.
I suppose, it would be interesting, which is why I guess why I'm a humanistic magic practitioner and not a different kind of magic practitioner.
Fair enough. I would be interested to see if anyone out there gets in touch and says, I don't believe in any of the other bits and pieces, but I found this a useful tool to use in my day-to-day.
It would be quite analytical. I can see it playing out more with like practical tools like tarot, especially if you are doing that for others rather than for yourself. That can certainly lend itself to a more analytical approach. You know, you've got somebody in front of you, they want the development aspect. It's not for you, so you're just there interpreting the cards or whatever. I can see that playing out in that way.
Okay, cool. So I think, essentially from my question at the start, you don't have to be magic. You don't have to come from a line of magic. You don't have to have the gift.
You don't have to have some weirdy beardy pull you on one side.
You can learn the techniques. You can learn how to do all of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be a charmed one. You can do this kind of stuff.
That's true.
But the spirituality aspect of it, maybe that's a bit deeper, and it's about finding what you need.
It's your motivation, isn't it?
Rather than just I'm a spiritual person now.
Yeah, and maybe not run off and set up a cult. Just decide I'm going to set up a cult. Yeah, right. I think so. Cool. But as you say, I'm always interested to hear how it's working for
other people.
If there's no spirituality needed, leave your spirituality at the door and just get on with it, get your cauldron out.
Hubble bobble. Cool. All right. Good. Is there anything else you wanted to cover?
No, I don't think so. So is that it?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that it? Is that our show?
I think that's it. I
That's
think
it.
that's our show.
That's it. That's our show. Subscribe to our website to receive free articles, downloadable spells, and guided meditations. Start your magical tuition today at magentaschoolofmagic.com.